All right, guys, what's going on? So, hey, I think I'm finally done with these kastking rovers. I've got 3 on the boat right now, and I'm actually putting on a Piscifun Alijoz 400. You've seen some reviews I've made in the past, but this reel right here, I just got it on here. This reel here is going to be my go-to. This one right here, great reel when they're brand new. And if you're only using these things, you know, a couple times a year, probably a really good reel to keep. For me, this little pinion, this yoke, the pinion's made out of plastic, and if you put any kind of side pressure on this and crank down, it strips it out, and I'm done with them. So Piscifun Alijoz has been a much superior reel. A little bit more expensive, but you know what? It's all right. They'll last a little bit longer, and they will hold up like they have. I'm going with them. But anyway, I pulled all the line off of this one and put it over here. This is a size 50 kastking. It's holding just about the exact amount. Now, this is a low profile. The Alijoz is a low profile reel, and this is a conventional reel. So obviously I would expect this one to hold more, but even with this low profile, it's holding the exact same amount. What I didn't realize is when I got to the end of this, I thought this had been replaced. Apparently I missed one whenever I respooled all of my reels here a couple of weeks ago. So anyway, I'm going to just take this junk off and put on something new. I've got a whole new roll here of I like P-line 30 weight, and this is the CXX extra strong high vis. Guys, this stuff right here is 30 weight, but it's strong. Does very good with the abrasion resistance. And here's an easy way to get the line off your reel. There we go. Easy peasy. And make sure you dispose of your line properly. If you take this right here and throw it into the dang lake, man, I hope that you wrap your pinky toe around your bedpost at night. That right there can make a mess out of a motor, out of a fish. I mean, it's just a bad day. Throw your stuff away. It takes 2 seconds to put it away where it's supposed to go. Now, the Alijoz has got a little button inside of your, what do you call that? Your spool. But it's got a place right there that you can tie your line to if you like. I prefer to loop it, even if I do happen to get spooled, which is not likely on a freshwater lake. But if I do happen to get spooled, that I at least got a fighting chance, and that fish is going to have to break my line. I was at the ocean a few years ago down in the Gulf of Mexico, and my wife and I rent a place on Alligator Point in the summer. Loved that place, and I said, hey, I'm gonna go inside and make a sandwich. Can you watch my reel? And I had 3 rods cast out with pretty good bait on it, and I was trying to catch a shark or something. So thought I had the drag set loose enough to where if the rod took over, or if a fish took off with it, it would start peeling out, but it didn't. And I came back, and after not having caught nothing all day, the moment that I stepped up to the house to go get a sandwich is when we got a bite. She was reading her book. Well, you know the rest of the story. Came back, and I just saw a line in the sand where my rod had been drug into the ocean, never to be seen again. I don't know how many yards of this line did it hold, but it is a heap. Could probably put a backing on this reel spool if you prefer to do that. You're not going to get spooled on a freshwater body of water, even with a big striper. I don't believe you would have to. I mean, I imagine it probably holds about 170 to 190 yards of 30-pound mono. And when you put this stuff on here at first, like this, it's actually going on kind of loose. And as you get the cast the line out a few times and go back and forth fighting fish, it'll tighten that up a little bit. So you want to make sure that you spool it all the way to the top now. So I now have 4 of the Alijoz 400s, and eventually we'll get 2 more for sure. I've got a couple of Okuma Komodo reels that I got the gears replaced in, and after I got the gears replaced, I really like them. They initially had a 8.1, I think, gear ratio, and I was able to get a 6 something gear ratio. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I ordered the gears from Okuma. I think for one it was about 15 bucks, 14, 15 bucks. But I dig it. I run a sinker slide that it can be removed, but it's easier to put it on right now. But you can actually take this sinker slide off and run just nothing but a bead if you wanted to. And like I've said before, if you start your knots at the bottom and go all the way up, you can start with your snell knot, and then you can tie polymer knots all the way up. But you got to start at the hook and then work your way backwards. This is the furthest up knot that I've got, so I'm able to tie that polymer knot. And guys, I really like using that knot for all of them if I can. It's just a good knot. You can't mess it up, and it's one of the strongest knots. They have proven that with different testing. I'm not saying the other knots are bad. I just like it myself. We're rigged up, ready to go. One thing I need to do now is go fishing. I've got a 4.5 foot long leader maybe with my spook on there, my rattle. And I'm gonna check the drag on this thing. That's the one bad thing about the Alijoz. This drag is super sensitive. You've either got a bunch of drag, or if you back it off just a little, it really quickly reduces the drag. But I'd rather have more drag than not enough. And it takes quite a bit it really does. It takes quite a bit to break a 30-pound leader. I mean, 30-pound main line and a 50-pound leader. But we're ready to go. So out with the old, in with the new. And now I get to repair the Castnet. So don't you just love it when you leave a thread fin? Man, that looks just like a rattle trap. But that's a thread fin stuck in there. So not that these are bad reels, but I'm down with the Alijoz. So guys, I really don't know exactly how I'm supposed to do this. I just know I do it. The reason that I'm using Braid is because if you ever get Braid, if you've ever used Braid, you know you can get a darn good knot in Braid. So what I do is I just take this Braid and I go in through one of the squares on the edge of the hole, go to the other side where it was supposed to be tied together, tie it, loop it around, and then all I'm doing is I'm leaving enough slack so that you're not bunching the thing up completely. And then I just tie 2 overhand knots back to back, and I try to make this thing lay flat and then pull it tight, just about like that. So, and then get my thumbnail on it. So what I'm doing is literally I doubt you can see this. I probably should have used a different colored braid. But don't tie the braille line in. You got this main braille line, this big thick braille line that goes all the way up to your horn. But I'm just literally just tying this net, tying it together the best I possibly can. Again, 2 overhand knots, cinching it down, and it's braid. So like I said, braid, y'all, the reason I don't use braid on my main line for fishing is because if you ever do get a bird nest, or you ever do get a backlash, or if you get some fish that cross you up, it's next to impossible to get that knot out of that braid. So that's one of the reasons I don't do it. Don't use it. I'd rather use mono and have to deal with a knot. But Just giving myself a couple of overhand knots right there and pulling it tight. I don't know what I'm doing, but if you get enough knots in it, something's bound to hold, and it does all right. It will at least get this net good enough so that I can use it until I put another big hole in it, until I eventually throw it on top of something that I will not be able to recover it. There's a couple of cast nets on the bottom of the Chattahoochee that I did not get back. I hate it. I wish I could have got it back, at least just to throw it away, but there's some dang root balls down there that I can't contend with. I actually hooked one of them up to the cleat on the side of the boat, and tried my best to pull whatever I had loose, and it eventually broke the braid lines, the braille lines, not the braille, yeah, the braille lines here on this cast net. Never did pull that net up. It's still down there. Matter of fact, it's close to one of the boat ramps I launch in and out of all the time, but it's not near the ramp. It's on the other side of the cove, so shouldn't pose a threat to anyone. But anyway, I do best I can with what I got here. Literally don't know what I'm doing. But it will last me a few more trips. Hopefully a bunch more trips, but at least a few more trips. Or at least one more throw. We do know that, because you never know when you throw it into that water. You never really know what's down there. It's like they say, you don't know until you throw. And after that, you know for sure. Anyway, I got this thing going along through here. This is probably about a, I don't know, 14-inch tear right on the main line of the net. So definitely not a good place to have a hole in them. Is what it is. You ain't got to capture all the fish, but you got to capture a few. Well, guys, I've got most of it out. There's just a couple of more little, small sections like that in the main line where it attaches. And that's when you're pulling this net in across rocks and stumps and sticks. It's going to snag, even if you really don't feel it. And it's going to cause these little holes. So I got a little bit more line left to finish tying up these last little few pieces. And as you can see, it's just a tedious process, but a little bit of time here will save you a few fish as you're trying to throw this net and get on some of those shads. So, all right, y'all, we back in business. So, got my net here and got it. It's good. It ain't great, but it don't take much to throw a cast net, and if you can catch a few fish in it, we're good to go. There's nothing that feels as good as a brand spanking new cast net. I take that back. Brand new cast nets are kind of stiff. It takes a few trips to get them to loosen up, unless you want to soak them in like some fabric softener or something. But anyway, this one right here is ready to fish, and I am ready to get my trolling motor parts back, and I'm ready for this weather to warm up a little bit, and for it to quit raining, and for it to quit snowing, and all of the likes. But anyway, it's been a good rainy day project. This took me about an hour, I guess, to get it right, and we're ready to go. So hopefully we'll catch y'all out on the water. Y'all, tight lines.